Hey, what's up? What's up? Happy, oh, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. So this is a pre-recorded show. Or I can do the recording. Let me do the recording. Let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. Here we go. Here we go. I could have remembered that beforehand, but I remembered it now. Remembered it now. So yeah, this is a pre-recorded show, and unexpectedly so, because I I went and I checked my phone, and my phone said, um, uh, "Boarding pass. It's time to check in for your boarding pass." I was like, "What? What?" So yeah, P and I are going to a wedding, and we're flying somewhere to it. But I thought that I had at least a couple of days in Baltimore. I don't know where. See, it's still happening. It's happening with time and calendars and things like that are still a little bit shaky. So sometimes I think I got it, and then it just slips away. So anyway, regardless, we are leaving tomorrow, so I want to make sure I record this just to make sure that nothing gets caught. You know, I don't want to make sure you get your show. All right, you get your show. All right, so welcome to the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. It means high emotion radiates overflow. And I'm your host, Seki Wrights. I am an author and a motivational speaker. So, speaking of author, my most recent book is Hack Your Pain Fast. Oops, sorry. Hack Your Pain Now, not fast. Hack Your Pain Now. Hack Your Pain Now. Okay, so please check it out. Please check it out. I've been getting so many overflowing reviews that they've got me easily easily selling my book to others, you know, because so many people have told me positive things about it. So you be the next person who tells me positive things about it. Check out the book, Hack Your Pain Now. Okay, so what am I going to talk about? I just hit record, and I'm just going to see what happens. But oh, I forgot to tell you, I am a man with a stroke. I should mention that always, always, always. I am still surprised how many people don't realize that, and how many people talk to me and they're like, they have no idea, they haven't heard of anything about this. So please, please, please spread the word if you hear it. If someone you know needs to hear it, I'm a man recovering from a stroke. I had a stroke a little over a year ago, and I am still grappling with it in a lot of different ways, that I won't go into, but I'm working with it. I'm working with it and working through it and working past it by doing this show. Put on the show. Speaking of which, shout out to New Thought Media Network, New Thought Media Network, for being there, for helping, for and just being there really. Because I had this before I had the stroke, and then I forgot that I even had a show. If you can imagine that, I forgot I had a show. Just completely mind blank. And then they created some episodes that were recaps of stories that I've done before. And let me tell you, all of it was new to me. All of it was new. Even the things that I was saying, I was like, what? Because, like, real quick before I go back to the story. So I used to talk about investing in the stock market, as you know. Well, if you're a long time viewer of the show, you know. I was talking about investing long term over into the stock market. And I was sitting there watching, like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And it was just so funny to me how I had to talk myself back into it. I had to talk myself back into it. And that's the one area where I feel like the old me had a much better leg up than the new me. The old me had a much better leg up than the new me, right? Because the new me has it going on in terms of broad, big things like like Crane Gate, Crane Day. If you missed that, go back a couple weeks and check that out. But in terms of that, in terms of being able to see a truck with a boot and come up with this whole thing about being rich, my new self has that. But the old stuff about money was very hard for my new self to come into. And so it's interesting to know that it takes that much more energy, takes that much more energy to grab it, to grasp it, to grasp it. So that just tells you how deep this stuff is, how deep this stuff is, because society will teach you that the norm is the right way. Hmm. Norm is the right way. It'll teach you the norm is to do all these things that are ultimately unsafe, right? But they teach it to you so often, so often, so often, so often that anything you get telling you to not follow that is really damaging, right? Because I'm thinking about it for me, like I got into it. My previous self, I got into it. I knew all the things, I said all the things, I said all the right things, and yet I didn't believe myself. I did not believe myself. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And it took me a while, it took me a long while before I was able to check my funds because, again, I forgot everything. I was like, I got funds? Look on my phone. I got funds. And look at it. I had to remember the password. That was the beast. Remember the passwords and check and see. And then I was like, huh, wow, everything is green. Everything was green. Now I know now that was probably just the day I was looking, but still, over those months of inactivity, they went up. They went up during those months of activity where I was, where I wasn't able to speak, where I couldn't walk, where I couldn't remember things, like all those things. During all that time, the money was working for itself. It's working for itself, like still building, still working. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating that the money was still working. The money was still working. Now I'm gonna bring bring that back in full circle to what I was talking about yesterday. The van, the yeah, well, it was a van, but the vehicle with the boot here in Baltimore, and the richness that I talked about. And so what I was saying is that you've got to have a plan for being rich. You've got to have a plan. You have to have a rock solid plan. It has to be something that you've been doing already. Something that you've been doing already. So you got to start setting aside 10% now. See, I didn't say that yesterday. I wanted to say that today. I want to make sure I got through. You got to start saving your 10% now. Like if somebody hands you $10, think immediately of it as nine. As nine. Figure out how to get change and take $1 and sock it away somewhere. Sock it away somewhere. So once you develop this as a habit, then it'll be easier when you get big sums of money. Because what we think is, oh, we'll just wait until we get some money and then we'll set some aside. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Take it from me. Take it from me. Because once you get the big amount, then you're like, oh no, I gotta save this. What's the right word? What's the right word? I've got to spend it. Yeah, spend it. Yeah, well, regardless of what I meant by there, I just mean that you don't feel like putting the money aside. If you're like, oh, that's too much to put to the side. That's too much to put to the side. That there it is. It's too much to put aside. Oh, that's $2,000. Oh no, I need that. Maybe I put a little smaller amount. But when you've been doing it for a long time, when you've been doing it for a while, then you've got to know that 10% is nothing. 10% is nothing. $9 versus $10 is nothing. It's nothing. And if you put that money away first, as soon as you get the check, first, as soon as you get that money, first, as soon as somebody hands you some money, that's when you learn it. That's where you learn it. Right? So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear. Start now. Save 10%. Minimum 10%, but easy math. You should move this place over one, take it, put it away, put it to the side, right? And now I am suggesting the stock market for you. I'm suggesting the stock market because that's a place where you can still go get it if you need to, but it's a profound place where you can put your money and watch it grow. Watch it grow. Like I did while I was, hemmed up under the all the things that had to do with me because of the stroke. Then waking up and seeing everything pointing to green. That was incredible. That was incredible. Okay, so that, and I want to just mention, Linda made a comment yesterday that I saw after the show closed, but it was a comment about, I can't remember his name now. I've talked to him about him a lot. I remember his name now. But anyway, he talks about creating an emergency fund, doing that immediately. First thing you do, create an emergency fund. Create an emergency fund. Create an emergency fund. Now, I've talked about this a lot because I've talked about him a lot, and I believe in the emergency plan. However, that's not all I'm talking about. So you need to have an emergency plan. Yes, it's true. Like when I was making $18,000 a month, I should have been setting aside that extra money. But what I should have done, in addition to that, was have some money set aside for investing. Let's just call it what it is, for investing. Because investing is different than an emergency fund. Emergency fund is typically you putting your money aside, just aside, like a savings account, right? It's aside, but it's still under the same rules and regs. It's still under inflation. It's still under all the various things that make it not so great. But you put money aside for investment. That's when things get real. So theoretically, I should have spent 20%. 20% minimally. I should put 10% away for emergency fund, 10% away for emergency fund, and 10% away for investing. And see, I want to make this point clear because people think, I'm going to say this again, people think that they're going to learn to invest once they get the money. Don't do it. Don't do it because I'm telling you, it won't work. It won't work because once you get all that money, you want to hold on to all of it, and you're starting off as a beginner. Starting off as a beginner with lots of money. You talk to big people about doing what should I do for money, and they can tell that you don't know what you're doing. Your money's gone. Your money's going to vanish. Your money's going to vanish. So you've got to, just recapping, you've got to set your 10% aside for your emergency fund. Yes. And then you've got to set 10% aside for investing. That's 20%. That's, back to our example of $10, that's $8. $2 gone, $8 remaining. $8, like, you can still do anything you want to do with $8 that you want to do with 10, that you're going to do with 8. You've got to remember that when the money gets to be big, when it gets to be $20,000, and so 10% is $2,000, so $4,000. $4,000 sounds like a lot of money. Like $4,000, oh, I got to hold on to that. No, you should remember that that's just a piddling bit of your expenses. Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to say, and I think that's all. That's all. So let me show you some things. Show you some things. This is from Calvin. I mentioned him yesterday. Calvin is the live stream, no, the Forex investor that he's coming on this show. He's coming on this show. I can't believe it. He's coming on this show to talk about buying and selling Forex. So this I took from a recent screenshot during one of his calls, and he was talking about that yellow marker, the big yellow marks. He just made it himself. He just created it and said that look at the difference between what's happening down at the bottom and what's happening up the top. Once it falls down, it starts to congregate. Congregate. I said word it means communalize. Well, anyway, communalize. Sorry. And now he's predicting it's going to go further down and not mess with the yellow intake area at all. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting because it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, right? It's like it's not as complicated as those powers would make us believe, right? So you don't know yet. You don't know yet. So you would do a cautious read. You put in a stop loss. A stop loss is if he goes the wrong way, you get stopped out. And I hope that was understandable. And then the rest of it, you just make a short smidgen to see how much money you would get. And then it's just about how much money you put in, because you put in $1, let's say, you make a decent amount of money, or you put in $10, $20, $50. I've seen the most I've seen personally on Instagram is people spending around $100. That's the most I've seen. $100 is somebody who's very confident. But you can play with $1, and you can do this all via the game. The game, I'm calling it because that's what I mean by game. Because we talk about these things that, wait a minute, like the dummy money. So once you get involved with dummy money, that's all you need. Yeah. So, hey, Fit King. So yeah. So that's what I want to show you, and I want to show you that. I think that's all, and just in the nick of time. So Fit King is in the house, and we're gonna go get ready and for our trip tomorrow. All right. So I will see you next time. All right. Later.